This is Mick Foley.
This is Harley Race.
This is Shelton Benjamin.
This is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
This is the Monster Abyss.
And this is Daniel Bryan.
This is JBL, and you're watching the MWF.
Be there, live.
Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, welcome to a special installment of Wrestling Insiders. This is Dan Mirade here at MWF Studios, downtown Melrose, Massachusetts, in the zip code of Champion 02176. The first weekend of summer is here. It's heating up in the Boston area. As documented, I was supposed to end my ridiculous consecutive days streak here at this studio at 70, and then head down to the Sunshine State on Tuesday after a wild weekend with Marty Jannetty. But an imbecile from Southwest Airlines ruined not only the trip, but they ruined my luggage once it was returned from Orlando, with many of my items, my clothes, looking like they were used as toilet paper, and other looked like they even had a little semen on them. Some interesting days ahead with Southwest Airlines. Instead, we went up to the White Mountains for a few days up in New Hampshire, even took in Storyland, which is a nice little park if you have little kids. Nonetheless, my consecutive days streak at the studio actually hit 71 as a result. And after 2 full days away from the studio, from all my buddies here on Boston Wrestling that chime in during the live premieres, I am back until, well, I know when I'm back until, but I will not tell you that until I'm joined in studio by John Cena Sr. later this week. Usually on Saturday night, we get together for our one-stop shopping Wrestling Insiders week in review, but I got back to the studio so late, and so much craziness went on earlier this week before I was supposed to leave for Florida. Wrestling Insiders week in review did not get put together. I'm going to try and do it so we have something tomorrow where there are no pay-per-views, along with Wrestling Insiders Stern but Fair with Tiger Mulligan. Hate to let you guys down, but we just simply ran out of time with the insanity that this week turned into. Believe me, I would have loved to have given you Wrestling Insiders Week in Review. The voiceovers were written out for Wrestling Insiders Week in Review, but the clock just won't stop ticking. But I did want to put together some news and notes after everything that has happened. I almost made this an exclusive on Patreon, but where so many thousands of fans watched the disaster that was our Hell in a Cell watch-along last weekend, I thought it was only fair that this video is accessible to all, along with some other, again, news and notes beyond what happened with Marty. Again, last Sunday night, it speaks for itself. Everything with Marty Jannetty, it was unacceptable to me. It was unacceptable to you. And in the end, it should be unacceptable to Marty Jannetty. I know there's a portion of fans out there that laugh when they see a situation like that. But let me tell you, as a guy living what went on the other side of the table, it was not fun. It was sad and it was pathetic to see someone I consider a friend fall apart the way he did. I'm sorry I lost my cool the way I did, but his drunken false accusations were really the straw that broke the camel's back after a day from hell. Forget about Hell in a Cell. It was hell in a studio. If you watched this past Thursday's episode of Wrestling Insiders Party with Marty, you saw a Marty in great spirits. When he was with us last week, both Friday and Saturday, they were great days with him. He was fun, he was jovial, he was engaged, he was interested. It was a blast having him. And then Sunday came, and it, ironically, it almost describes his 3-day visit in February. It was great Friday and Saturday, and then Sunday, I don't know what he did Saturday night, but we had a Sunday. He arrived at the studio Sunday in the afternoon, reeking of alcohol. I sat at the desk I'm at right now talking to you guys at, this, where he claimed during the watch-along I blocked him from coming into the studio. The desk I sit at is a good 50 feet away from the doorway, so I don't know how I could have possibly prevented him from coming into the building. Again, that was the alcohol talking. I wasn't sure how bad he was in the beginning, so I figured we'd test the waters by trying to do the WrestleMania 5 Rockers vs. Twin Towers watch-along for Patreon that you guys requested, but he was slurring. He couldn't pay attention to the match. And, we're not talking about an Iron Man match. It was 7 minutes, so I just ended it on the spot. Marty was angry at some of the content we recorded and we used back in February, so I was adamant we weren't going to have a repeat of that this time. As I've noted, Marty should be thrilled with what was edited out in February and not used at all, because it really would have made him look bad from what came from that Sunday taping in February. That's an issue on our end because, as noted, it's very expensive to put these tapings together. We wasted a day in February, and now in June, we wasted another day because Marty chose to get drunk. After the WrestleMania 5 mess, we spent over 4 hours trying to sober him up. Think about that. 4 hours we tried to sober him up. We had one of our great Boston Wrestling MWF Patreon family members with us. He got Marty a coffee and a bagel. We tried to get him outside for some fresh air, but he just kept going through his bag over and over and over again. The studio staff was not happy whatsoever and left, and that left us with zero technical help for the day, which was a real problem, especially when the live stream began. We wound up taping a couple of, I guess I'll call them passable episodes later in the afternoon before the watch-along once he did sober up a bit. Then 15 minutes before the live watch-along was to begin, Marty vanished. I couldn't find him. I later learned he returned to the liquor store. Then the live watch-along, it started out fair, on his end, on top of all the technical problems we faced with the actual pay-per-view stream from Peacock. It was not a good night, as I had more than enough of Marty. I had more than enough of the technical problems. It was a nightmare. Then about an hour or so in, Marty started to get nasty with me. I tried to ignore it for a bit until the digs got a little too personal, and I had enough. I was a human being, and I had enough. I got very angry. He had a drunken belief that I didn't want to tape episodes with him during the day, so I didn't have to pay him. I mean, talk about crazy. With the cost of his appearance fees, the airfare, the hotel, the studio costs, we need to get as much done with him as humanly possible, not less. Then he started on, where's my money? When am I going to get paid? And that was when I snapped. I had enough. I bolted off the set to get his precious money, which was in another room, and he made a fool of himself live on the air. In 19-plus years of doing this, no one has ever been shorted their money. And I just, even now, it makes me hot under the collar that he actually said that live on the air, drunk, sober, or otherwise. To make matters worse, I woke up Monday morning to an email from JetBlue saying that Marty's itinerary was canceled. I had no idea why. Because I actually like and care Marty, I was worried about what was going on. His phone was off. Family members were reaching out to me via social media. Eventually, probably about 6 or 7 hours later, he made it back to Georgia. But if you follow Marty on Facebook, you can see he's been awfully quiet. There have been talents that have done us wrong in the past, deliberately. I feel like we've taken it pretty hard from Marty. The Sunday he was with us in February and last Sunday in June, this month. At the same time, I like Marty Jannetty, the human being. I understand that Marty Jannetty is in nonstop physical pain 24/7. I am too. My condition is different. I have CRPS. But I have never, ever showed up in the condition Marty has the last 2 Sunday sessions he's had with us. So the question is, what do we do? Simple answer is never use them again. Use the episodes of Wrestling Insider's Party with Marty you have and call it a day. But despite the stress and the misery his drunkenness created, I don't like that answer because I know the Marty we had in February and Friday in June, on both the Friday and the Saturday, I know that a good man exists, a good person, someone that has a lot to contribute to professional wrestling when he can overcome what he's dealing with right now. So despite the accusations of the big bad Dan Mirade trying to screw him over when he was drunk on Sunday night, here's how I spent my last day at the studio before leaving for Florida, when I was already overwhelmed with a boatload of actual work that I had to do before I left to keep you guys as close to the normal schedule as we usually have. I had to put out many fires here at the studio with studio personnel that was not happy with what happened the day before. And then I made some phone calls, I sent some emails, and I came up with not one, not two, but 3 opportunities that could be life-changing for Marty should he choose to explore and accept them. And I'm actually still working on a 4th, as a matter of fact. I want Marty to get better. Marty needs to get better from Marty. At 61 years old, he needs to take a look at life from a sober perspective and realize what he has to contribute to the world, what he has left to contribute to wrestling outside of the ring, and go for it and make it happen. But I can't have an unsober Marty Jannetty again. That much is perfectly clear. But my goal is to try and help our friend utilize the gifts being presented to him to get him better. And as far as Marty goes, I'm going to leave it at that. As we get ready for our 20th anniversary, our Back to the 80s WrestleFest live event and Fanfest, Saturday night, November the 13th, at our home Memorial Hall here in Melrose, Massachusetts. Dear Lord, time spent trying to find a replacement for Road Warrior Animal after he passed away. Lanny Poffo after he left the country. Tony Atlas after he twisted the knife in our back. Brutus Beefcake after a family engagement on November 13th. And then the horrific video that came out this week of our friend, Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff, appearing to be in a hospital gown of some kind, eating packets of salt, having no clue what's happening. That really broke my heart. I'm certainly not going to use any of that video footage. Paul is a good man. Paul is a man's man. To see him in that shape, it really hurt. It was really sad. And it made it very obvious that he certainly will not be with us November 13th. I just hope that, there's a way for the life that he is living in the moment to get better. Because, again, I consider Paul a friend. I have all the respect in the world for Paul Orndorff. And to see that just hurt. But, again, it also creates more work on our end, as we have a very full plate as it is. And our goal is to present to you on November 13th the biggest event we've ever had, featuring the superstars and legends of yesterday, today, and tomorrow. On July 4th, America's birthday, John Cena Sr. and I will celebrate with you, as we'll have some news on the live event, news from our recent Boston Wrestling MWF Board of Directors meeting, where the meeting ended with the idea of focusing more on live wrestling and to have live wrestling events before the November 13th endeavor. So that should be interesting. And then, as I was trying to do as little wrestling work as possible while away with the kids, came the news of even more releases from WWE, several of whom I'm very interested in. I may not be on the board of directors, I may not have an ownership stake anymore, but I still do work with the talent. Who's coming, who's going, and so on and so forth. And in that capacity, there are some names that WWE has released all year long that I'm very interested in having with us in different capacities. So that got my creative juices flowing. Texts were sent, all while I was at the pool in North Conway. Linda was not happy. She wanted me to just take a break for a couple of days. She didn't want me to come to the studio today. But like I said, damn it, there was work to be done. So this week, God willing, we'll be back to our normal talk show schedule as Santa and the elves work on the live event portion of what we do begins. The work never ends, but let me tell you guys something. When we get the messages from you during the premieres, on Patreon, private emails, donations, it's great. It reminds us that to a lot of people, not only do you get the enjoyment of the wrestling talk, but we're also the cure for loneliness, and I've never lost sight of that. Beyond presenting you great in-ring professional wrestling, beyond presenting you great wrestling quality talk shows, not Zoom interviews or things like that, we want to be your escape from reality. So with that said, let me get back to work so I can give you guys those high-quality wrestling talk shows this week with superstars from every era. I hope you all enjoy your weekend a great deal. I hope you are all doing well. I hope you are happy. I hope you are healthy. I hope you are safe. Until we speak again, folks, you and yours be well. Good night from Boston. The World Wrestling Federation was live at the War Memorial in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, Wednesday, June the 27th, 1990. In the opening contest, Coco Beware beat the Genius. Paul Diamond with the win over Jim Brunzell. The Barbarian defeated Superfly Jimmy Snuka. WWF Tag Team Champions Smash and Crush of Demolition retained the titles over the Hart Foundation. Brutus the Barber Beefcake victorious over WWF Intercontinental Champion Mr. Perfect via disqualification. Hercules defeated Al Perez via forfeit when Perez no-showed. And in the main event, WWF World Champion, The Ultimate Warrior, retained the title over Ravishing Rick Rude. If you were in Johnstown live, share your memories in the comment section below. Use the links in the description box to keep Wrestling Legends working in our eBay store and on our world-renowned Patreon streaming service so we can bring you more interactive superstar shoot interviews to relive the good old days of professional wrestling. Check it out. Boston wrestling sports in the MWF explodes into a new year with professional wrestling content galore and need you to join our family. Every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. after our Monday Night Raw review, it's Wrestling Insiders at your house with WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas. Wednesday nights at 10 p.m. after NXT and AEW, join rotating legends on Wrestling Insiders Special Edition. Every Thursday night at 10 p.m. after our NXT and Dynamite review, it's Marty Jannetty's no-holds-barred sex, drugs, and rock and roll journey on Wrestling Insiders Party with Marty. Friday night after SmackDown, don't miss John Cena Sr.'s Wrestling Insiders Fabulous Fridays. Plus, look for classic clips, history videos, bonus live episodes, pay-per-view watch-alongs, and more. For less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, get early ad-free access to our Wrestling Insider talk shows, our acclaimed studio shoot interview DVD library, and help keep Wrestling Legends working during the worst of times